Hey, how you doing? I am back with my second update on my Bolt Action Americans, and we have a lot done this week. Let me tell you. Last week on my video, I had about 12 guys done. We have kicked the snot out of that in the last 7 days. So Sunday, I got my American Infantry box in. As before, I had my Bolt Action Airborne starter. And then I met up with a buddy of mine last week, and he sold me about 40 more regular infantry. So we are working our way through that. Over here, we have the airborne that's in the works. You guys remember the lieutenant from last week? Well, he's been joined by his other lieutenant and the medic. We've got our airborne sniper put together here. His spotter is up there on the handles to be done. Bazooka team for the airborne here for the 1st Infantry Division there. And you can tell just how much bigger the bazooka is on the plastic model versus the old metal one. Over here we've got airborne squads with various loadouts. These are not organized by squad, but a lot of these guys are submachine gunners. Like I have a bunch of U.S. airborne with submachine guns so that I can just fill out squads and get the dock on the table and do the thing. Got a Sherman. I had to go with tank, so we got just M1A1. Put it together yesterday, got it painted up. I'm super happy with that. I don't do a lot of weathering. I like the cleaner look on them. I just got to go back in and put varnish over the decals just so that they don't shine so much in the light. This is the to-do pile for the U.S. Airborne. That is it. That's what I got left after last week. So we've got 10 guys on the handles, one lonely dude there, and then we got the heavy machine gun team, which we'll never see play because machine gun teams are trash. Ignore the heresy guys in the back. They're still there. Up front, 30, I call them bros, big red one, infantrymen. And these are set up with basic bitch loadout. We've got rifles and 2 BARs, playing right to the American strengths, fire and maneuver. And then with these other guys that I have, I'm going to go ahead and put together 2 more riflemen for each of these squads just so that I have the ability to take them to max. I probably won't ever play them at max, but just the like availability to have the rifles there, especially for larger games and stuff. We do have some guys in our local community that like to play larger games. So I've got those, and I've got probably about this many more still on sprue to get built. I've got one squad of them over here to my right that are just bare plastic waiting for these painting handles to get opened up. And then behind we have a lot of my team weapons and my crew weapons. We've got the 57 millimeter anti-tank gun that comes in the bolt and the airborne starter. My pack howitzer, which I'm a huge fan of light artillery and bolt action. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why. The medium mortar team is all finished now, including the tufts on the base. And then we've got the light mortar team, the veteran light mortar team. And I realized after I built him that this guy here is supposed to be laying down, but I kind of like the way that he's jinking. So, he's going to defy gravity. But I want to talk about these guys real quick because I don't see enough people, at least in my opinion, I don't see enough people running light artillery alongside a mortar. And if you've got an anti-tank gun and you're a big fan of an anti-tank gun, go for it, do your thing. But I am a huge fan of using light artillery in tandem with a mortar because they're basically just carbon copies of one another. Subtle differences, but like they both fill the same role. And you can basically just for like 40 or 50 points buy yourself an additional indirect fire that could wreck somebody's day if you roll a 6. Now, here's the difference. Let me pull these guys up front here. So here's the big differences that I find when I talk about mortar versus anti-tank or light artillery, I should say. Anti-tank guns back there. 12 to 60 on range, indirect fire only. 48-inch range, but can go 24 to 60 on indirect fire. So you have the opportunity with the howitzer to fire over the sights, which is actually really good. they get too close, you just lower that gun barrel down and you just blast them from there. And then on top of that, when you lower that gun barrel down, you're not hitting on a 6. You're hitting on whatever your modifier would be. So a 3 to 4 to drop an HE template on somebody's head is not bad. Armored vehicles, things like that, you're still HE2. So you're getting that 2+ pen. So you're not really necessarily going to be just blowing things up left and right with it. But you could cause something to catch fire. You could easily cause something to catch fire. Or force things to move that didn't want to move. So, you got that little 50-point threat right there. Mortar. Its advantages. It's got a shorter minimum range. So it's only 12 to 60, whereas the light artillery is 24 to 60 when you're firing indirectly. Mortar can take a spotter. The pack howitzer can't, according to the U.S. book. So, that's really good because you can just stick this guy back behind cover and have a spotter somewhere, and the spotter says, hey, just lob them. With the pack howitzer, you have to draw a line of sight even for indirect fire, which can be good and it can kind of be bad. But say your opponent puts a tank on the table. Okay, so they've got a Sherman, and you put your artillery down that can see their Sherman. Yeah, the Sherman can see you, but they're taking now a 140, 150 point model and having to dedicate fire to a 50 point model. So, and then once they do that, if they don't end up getting rid of this, both of these things are firing back at it. If that's what you want to do. Or they take it out and you still, under the points cost of that Sherman, you've got the same weapon essentially that's still a viable threat. So to me, running both of these together is like running a mortar with a reroll, essentially, for 50 points more. And it's a mortar with a reroll that can move the gun up and down and direct fire into something, which I think is really, really good. Now, technically, the pack howitzer, the light howitzer, can take a gun shield. This kit didn't come with one, and I don't feel like running that. I don't feel like saying, oh yeah, well, I took the gun shield upgrade for this. That just feels a little gamey to me. Now, if I had put like sandbags on the base like this, then I wouldn't feel so bad about taking the gun shield rule. But the problem is, the thing that I don't like about this kit is the howitzer itself takes up the entire friggin' base. So it literally goes from the front to the back. I wish that they had sent this on one of the little bit larger square bases so that you could do some more modeling onto the base. But like once you put the howitzer on and the crew, like there's just not a lot of room left on the base. So that to me was a little frustrating, but it's a joy to paint, and it's even really it's a lot of fun to be on the table. And then you got your mortar. So just little food for thought there for a lot of folks. If you're looking for something to kind of just chuck in and you're not a big fan of artillery, maybe toss in this if you're already running mortars, or if you're doing like the veteran paratrooper mortar team, okay, and you're trying to stay super mobile and blah, 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 get yourself a pack howitzer because they're still pretty good. D6 pins if they're in a building. All of the joys of indirect fire and HE and all that stuff. It's just cool. And you don't have to clear line of sight for it. You can just start firing over the top of people's heads. So that's my thing. I really enjoy these things because I have destroyed a lot of stuff with my Germans by running a small artillery piece and a mortar. Just because of people dedicate so much fire to one of these things, they almost become distraction carnifexes. And it's like, well, it's only hitting on a 6. But if it does, that's the threat that everybody's afraid of, is that, but if it does. Other than that, guys, this is where we're at for the week. I had to order a new box of foam to come in to put all these guys in. I did not expect to, be this motivated and going through here, but I can already field an army. I can already, build a good 1,000-point list out of what I've got painted here and get it on the table. And so not bad for the first time that I bought the US was 2 Mondays ago. So not last Monday, but the Monday before. So 2 weeks. we're this far in. We've got all of the infantry that we'll ever need, good smattering of crew weapons, got a Sherman, sniper, bazookas, medic, everything really. So, keep it up, guys. Let me see what you guys have done this week.